guys? Again, for some of you guys and gals, happy Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. 9 games from the league tonight. Several bits of news, several studs on the slate. The return of AD Jokic against the Pistons, and so much more. A lot of upside, a lot of 220 totals, a 230 total. We get a empty arena match, halftime heat with the Charlotte Hornets and the Raptors. Should be a lot of fun to chop up, man. How did you guys do last night on a much more condensed, smaller slate? Did you get into Chris Paul, Nikola Vucevic, and SGA? Well, if you did, you probably did pretty well. Those were your 3 highest scorers last night on the DK slate. Devin Booker dropped 54, and then a limited Zach LaVine played 35 minutes without DeMar DeRozan. Went 23-7-7 with 4 stocks to boot. Ayo Dosunmu dropped 44.75 as well. And then Kevin Love, who I was pretty bullish on last night, 43 fantasy points, 20-11 in just 24 minutes. So it's not like he played a ton of extra minutes in the absence of Jared Allen. Yeah, that's how last night went. Did you guys vibe out last night? Make some money. If not, there's always tomorrow. And tomorrow is today, because today there are 9 games to attack, man. But what's up, chat? How are we doing? Shout out to Scott Duran, Jay Smooth, A. Dean, Jason Trotter, Mia Moore, Skimmer, BP. Nova says YouTube creeping me out. I grabbed DQ on the way home. Then I got a DQ ad when I clicked on the stream. They know too much. All right. I've had this Dairy Queen question in my mind for a long time. I don't know how many of you guys are in Texas, but I've wondered about, and I've been around. Like every time I travel the country, I never see a Dairy Queen ad. But in Texas, they have this jingle. It's like DQ. That's what I like about Texas. Like, what is it elsewhere? Don't tell me that they just replaced the state name, somewhere. Like, what is their advertising jingle? I don't know. How do they market it to you, Nova Scotia, or anyone else out there that is not in Texas that gets Dairy Queen? Because I've always wondered that. Anyway, what up, Luke? Nice of the Pelicans to ruin the slate already. Yeah, man. I was hoping we'd get some 40-minute free squares, right? Mick Foley gonna be driving the forklift at halftime heat, man. He's got to pin down Van Vliet, right? Van Vliet's questionable, so maybe that's the move there. What up, Sean V? What up, Jared Bell? Brian Anderson. The Anderson's got tickets to the chat. How'd he get tickets? What up, Brian Ross? Mighty Saint. I am on the edge of my seat for this for this Dairy Queen information, man. Man, chat, yesterday we hit over 6,000 new subscribers on the channel. We hit 6,000 subscribers on the channel yesterday, and today we're already at 6,000 and refresh 40. We've got 40 new subs since the moment we hit 6K yesterday. The growth lately is nuts. It's bonkers, and it's all thanks to you guys. So anything that you guys have done or will do to help the channel, help stir the algorithm, hitting those likes, hitting that sub button, hitting that share here and there, I definitely appreciate it. And it's not a me achievement per se. I think it's a community achievement. You guys are in this chat every day with me, so congratulations to you guys, but also thank you guys for letting it happen. I'm in Chicago, and I've never seen a Dairy Queen ad. Like I said, every time I leave the state, I also don't see ads for Dairy Queen, but I've also, I don't know, I don't leave the state to watch TV somewhere, right? No Dairy Queen commercials in Miami, so it's just Texas. Tickets on lock every day, just like Harden. Let's go, baby. I'm clever. Oh man. So chat, we've got a couple bits of information and bits of news to watch for today. Anthony Davis is probable to make his return for the Lakers. Fred VanVleet, midday downgrade to questionable, which is unfortunate because I was pretty keen on getting some Fred VanVleet exposure tonight. Mr. 40. Oh, it's Mr. 40 minutes. I was hoping to get 40 minutes of VanVleet against the Charlotte Hornets. We might still get it, but midday questionables, you know how that goes. But it is the first part of the first set of games, so hopefully we do have the information with enough time to react appropriately. De'Aaron Fox, questionable. Gordon Hayward, questionable. Klay Thompson, questionable. Nick Claxton, questionable. Patrick Beverley and Matisse Thybulle, all questionable. And then earlier today, the New Orleans Pelicans wiped out their projected starting lineup for today's game against the 76ers, resting just about everyone, and they have a pretty condensed list of players that would be available today. Jose Alvarado, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Garrett Temple, Herbert Jones, Jackson Hayes, Tomas Satoransky, Najee Marshall, Gary Clark, Willie Hernan-Gomez. So still 9 players, but you expect probably some deeper minutes on the front end, and then a lot of implied value there. A lot of those guys underpriced for their opportunity today. The last time I looked, I think the Sixers were only 9-point favorites. We'll see if that moves any more as the day progresses. But that's one of those squads where really not protected by a blowout. A lot of implied minutes there for them to pick up and fill in. Alvarado's been a guy that has shown a lot of fantasy propensity, particularly with stocks. We'll look his way in just a little bit. But yeah, that's the gist of it. That's where we're looking for. Big tip of the cap or sweater hat to Underdog NBA for keeping us up to date on all that information. If you're not following them on Twitter, you should be. And while you're there, you might as well hit me with a follow. Twitter.com/Gundacker. Let's get caught up on chat. Then we'll dive headfirst into that RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. BP says, telling you now, if NAW ends up being crazy owned, I'm pivoting to Cam Thomas. I think he's being slept on. He seems to step up when Kyrie is out, and he's playing with KD too. KD's out, right? Or did I misread what you stated? And he's playing. Maybe you meant without KD too. Okay. Shout out to Saber Sim Lineup Builder. I finally found a lineup builder that doesn't confuse the crap out of me. Man, Mark, definitely all those optos can be a big learning curve at first. And a lot of times intimidating, and they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I've kind of found a nice little groove with Fantasy Cruncher, but it took some learning. It took a couple videos watching, and then just testing. But I like the features that she's. I haven't tried SaberSim. I didn't know that they really support anything but baseball. But yeah, nice. I have to look out for them. That's awesome. Fanduel's gonna be fired tonight. Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'm playing Avocado. Let's go, Avocado. Keep him away from Andre Drummond. Wait a minute. Drummond's on the other. Wait a minute. Anybody remember that? Remember when it was at the Mexico game where Andre Drummond had like an allergic reaction to avocados or something? That really happened. Dude, I played Hughes. If I would have played House instead, we probably would have won a grand. Dang. Yeah, the Utah Jazz had a lot of outs themselves yesterday. What up, Elijah? Yeah. Man, without. All right, cool. All right, guys, what do you say we do this? What do you say we jump into this and talk some basketball? Let's flip over to the breakdown. This stream brought to you by RunDFS.com. That's the place where we don't just play DFS, we run DFS. If you guys want access to the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, I built it from the ground up as a tool for you guys to absorb, digest, and look at each game with easy-to-read metrics, color-coded for convenience, and really it's just aesthetically pleasing, let's be honest. You guys can get access to this thing with a membership at RunDFS.com, and a membership at RunDFS.com comes with so much more than just a link to a spreadsheet. First of all, you also get that built-in voucher towards a Fantasy Cruncher subscription, and you get access to the premium Discord, and the Discord, it's where it's at. We got 2 turntables and a microphone. Yeah, that's right. Grab that microphone before lock. Jump in that NBA chat. I'm in there for 2 hours before lock. chopping shop, talking up the plays, arguing with Raj about Derek Jeter. It's a whole fun thing. We also added the Prize Picks and Props channel. That sucker's been on fire. Shout out to Josh, keeping tabs on that. And then you guys are more than welcome to jump in that voice chat. If you're shy, hey, it's all cool. You just mute that mic, listen in, maybe text chat. Some of you guys literally are at work. Shout out to my boy Mike, just putting us in the earpiece while he's grinding at the job, keeping tabs on the slate, and just having some fun listening to the fraternity chop it up. So come be part of a community first and foremost, and then we want to see greatness. We got cats, we got millionaires in here, literal millionaires, thousandaires, hundredaires. If you're balling on a budget, it's a spot for you too. No egos, man. We just want to see everyone be great. There's only 3 all-star passes left. If you guys haven't taken advantage of that, get locked in until July 20th. That's the projected MLB all-star game. They're rapid talking now, so that's a good sign. We should end this lockout soon, and then this will encompass everything, right? It's one size fits all. You get the rest of NFL, the rest of NBA, the first half of baseball, and then we've added to the community. My boy Luke's been really accessible. Bounce ideas off him in the golf chat. You've seen his content on the channel, and we've also been pushing his channel, and then, of course, NASCAR in just a couple of weeks. So lots to be excited for, and a lot of content, and a lot of guys in the community to connect with and build strategic partnerships with, if you will, right? Julius Randle messed up my parlay, had over 4.5 assists. This fool had 4 assists in the first half. No more. Don't you hate that? Don't you hate that when a guy is like right there and then you feel like, oh, this is a freebie, and then I'll start betting more. And yeah, what are you gonna do? Nova Scotia says DK slogan in Canada is also, quote, happy tastes good. Legudu, I don't think I'm saying that right. Okay, that's good to know. Parker says, on Prize Picks, would you take LaMelo points at 17.5 or PRA at 31? Probably with LaMelo, I'd always want to lean the PRA. 17.5 is just so volatile when you're sharing the court with Terry Rozier. I guess Gordon Hayward's status would also be a catalyst and feeling good or bad about his real points. But the Hornets, from a scoring standpoint, are so volatile, because Terry Rozier is liable to take over and score 20, 30. Miles Bridges has these spike games. Kelly Oubre off the bench. So LaMelo is one of those guys that he'll stuff the stat sheet. He'll get you those rebounds, those assists. So I'd probably be leaning more towards that. I don't have any action on a LaMelo prop today at all. So I just want to put that out there. But typically when it comes to Melo, I probably want to flatten the risk here and take a more encompassing stance on a do-it-all type of guy. So PRA probably for me. Parker. Shout out to Parker. Bulls had me sweating. Literally blew a 27-point lead, a 1-by-1. Yeah, that whole Bulls situation was weird, right? Kobe White was supposed to start, then he didn't start, and then Levine was in, and Vucevic was a game time decision through and through. I kind of figured once they gave us DeRozan resting, I didn't think you would volunteer him resting and not expect Vooch to play, so Vooch played. But that the situation with Levine, where we didn't know how limited he would be, and he ended up being pretty high owned anyway, and he crushed it. But I that's burned me a few times this year, where I get cautious, sometimes overly cautious on what to expect from a guy's first game back after a long stretch, and especially when the coach says he's limited. There's been a couple times the Raptors have done it, where a guy first comes back and they'll watch his minutes and they play 40 minutes. So I hate that. I hate when that happens. But we should have known Levine is crushing it, right? Nick Shea, will you be tweeting out your final Prize Picks? I guess if you tweet at me, I can get in there. Usually up until lock, man, I'm spinning in circles making my DFS lineups. Some of you guys that are just finding me because of Prize Picks, I'm also a pro DFS player, so I really got to focus on the DFS lines as well. But we do have the prop detector tab in the spreadsheet. My boy Josh is crushing it with keeping that in order, so that that's accessible. But if you I don't expect much to change between now and then. I guess the Prize Picks is it 2.7. So we should have a taco dropped already, right? I think they were going to give us the DeJounte Murray PRA discount and the same with Jokic based on what they were voting for in the Discord. So I don't know if that's been released yet, but I'll double check. They have CSGO as the first one. I don't see it yet. So, yeah, so know that's on deck. But I guess if you tweet me like 30 minutes, give me like 30 minutes before the game, and remind me, and I'll tweet you some of my favorites. But I don't think much will change between now and then unless we get like staggering news. I think the best time to bet on props is as soon as you like it, right? You wait longer, usually the lines get a little tougher. May just take a nap on this slate. Don't do it. Don't do it. 4 Pelicans or no money. What a Bobby 3 sticks. What's up, Brody? With AD coming back, how do you feel about LeBron, DD, and Lakers win? Oh, LeBron James double-double and Lakers win? The Lakers should win. They should win. The LeBron double-double. I don't know. We'll run a metric on that. I don't know how many. I guess let's just look at LeBron James. LeBron James DKP by game log with Anthony Davis the last 5 games. I feel like that's very viable. I like the win for sure, but I would hate like 8 rebounds, 8 assists to be a thing. So LeBron James triple-doubled his last game with AD. Or no, double-doubled his last game with AD. Then there's a triple-double. And then there's a double-double. So it looks like it isn't a lock. But I will say, in the games that he didn't, one is at Dallas, which we're learning is a tough defense. And then one's against Boston. That was closer to the... It was earlier in the season, and he was plus 18, so it looks like it might have been a lopsided game. So I don't love the double-double spot, but if AD was like specifically limited or something like that, maybe I'd get on that. Maybe get like I don't know, 20 points double-double or something like that, you know? Not double-double, 20 points in a win or something like that. Anyway, let's dive headfirst in it, and then we'll reattack that Brooklyn situation. You guys know the drill. All I need from you is hit that thumbs up, but be fully active in chat. I'll bounce between chat in between each game. No Raj, so if some news breaks, be sure to spam the chat. Let me know. And we'll go from there. Game number 1, the Denver Nuggets at the Detroit Pistons. Who's ready for some Detroit basketball? We got a projected starting 5 of Monte Morris, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Nikola Jokic. Taking on Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Ham Diallo, Sadiq Bey, and Isaiah Stewart. 219 is our total 7.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, one of the early looks to lead the slate in fantasy points. My early projections from a DraftKings standpoint actually put him about a point above James Harden. As he goes, so does the Denver Nuggets. So if you believe in his responsibility right now, play 36 minutes. I definitely think this is a massive spot. Going against the Detroit Pistons. Pistons offer one of the worst defensive efficiencies in all of basketball, and Jokic is just not human. He's a different breed, right? He's built different. So love me some Jokic. I think the bigger the slate, we're gonna have plenty of value today, right? We're gonna have those Pelicans guys, the stuff in there, potentially some other value opening up later. So price is not really an issue here. Raw points mean something, and anybody that has a shot to drop 70 fantasy points, sometimes more, has a likeliness to be optimal. So Jokic is going to be one of the early table setter options on the slate. Usually he's kind of like a late night hammer. Today he can get us started. So I do like some Jokic quite a bit. I don't really get too much else from the Nuggets side. Looks like we did get Will Barton probable. If you landed on a Barton here and there, go for it. 30 fantasy points usually the expectation. I don't expect much more, much less. Jokic is the main guy. You know my policy here. These big slates got to get some stealing. So I'm not going to get too bullish on anyone not named Jokic. On the Pistons side, Kelly Olynyk came back just to get hurt again. So we get back into more minutes for Isaiah Stewart. Trey Lyles off the bench. revenge, right? Sadiq Bey, Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham, his price has been all over the road on FanDuel. We've seen him as low as 5K and now up to nearly 7K. This is probably the appropriate price for the time being on both sides. Need 40 plus fantasy points. Definitely a range of outcome considering his usage rate. You might get some of that Aaron Gordon defense to slow him down a little bit. I think when it's all said and done, I probably don't get to a whole lot of Pistons as high exposed players for me. But if I got to a sprinkle, right, just a tad bit of a Cunningham, a Sadiq Bey, maybe even a Trey Lyles and 150 max, I wouldn't hate to and wouldn't lose some sleep. So, but I really think one guy from this game is all that I would end up in like 20 lineups, and that would be Nikola Jokic. If you guys disagree, let me know. But I think it's Jokic for me, and then I will just move on. What up, Crispy? Nova says Westbrook 8,300 on DraftKings must be close to his career basement salary. Definitely a sight for sore eyes. Westbrook's price has been downward spiraling on both sides. Obviously, it's fair. His production has not been what it once was, and he's changing as a player because of what the team is asking him to do. But at this price point, he's becoming a guy that if he goes 5 from 15 and goes to like 10 for 15 one of these nights, he'll be a great player, right? Josh says protocols for Kelly, no injury. Oh, my bad, Josh. I just had him on the out. 18 says Cade Cunningham reminds me a lot of myself on the basketball court. Okay, AD. Yeah. And honestly, Jokic is the first guy I've seen that plays like I did, when I was in high school. So it's good to see that somebody else out there was as good as me. I could have went to the league, but I had a knee injury, right? We all know that guy, right? If you've been in Dallas, right? I've managed a couple restaurants in Dallas. I probably had like 5 different cooks tell me that, I was gonna play for the Cowboys, but I had a knee injury in high school. I was gonna play for the league. I would have been the next Jokic, but had that knee injury. It was whatever. Pelicans at the Sixers. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Pelicans. Jose Alvarado, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Garrett Temple, Herb Jones, Jackson Hayes, probably, maybe Willie Hernan-Gomez. We'll see. Up against Tyrese Maxey, Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. We got 215.5 total. 9-point spread in favor of the home team, Philadelphia 76ers. So, first of all, Philadelphia. Let's see if the line has moved for the Sixers at all. We've had this information for quite a bit, but just curious to see if there's any movement shifting this line to double digits yet. For Philadelphia, they're up to 11.5, so even more movement here, placing more likeliness of perhaps a blowout in favor of the Sixers. On the Pelican side here, it's really not a bad click, right? We've seen this several times this season, even when it doesn't make sense, right? It should be a blowout. The minutes are going to be there. Jose Alvarado, NAW, maybe Willie Hernan-Gomez, maybe Jackson Hayes. These are guys that, regardless of the scoreboard, are probably going to get 30 minutes of action. I think Hayes has a ability to get hacky here, and at 3,100, is he center only? Jackson Hayes, he is, and then Hernan-Gomez is center only as well. So with center being what it is, Jokic, Embiid, AD, if you want to get behind that, Cat on the slate as well. There's definitely some upside and some girth at the center spot that you would have to meditate on whether or not you want to give up those 50, 60, 70 fantasy point outcomes for some center punts. I probably don't, but you'll probably see me in the streets with some Alvarado, some NAW, maybe some Garrett Temple here and there. I think the price point is just really, really cheap. You don't need a whole lot. Probably expect coagulated and elevated ownership on all of them, on both sides, but appropriately so. So I think looking at Alvarado first and foremost, he's been making waves, more so because of his defensive metrics, right? Yesterday he played just 12 minutes, 6.5 fantasy points, 2 fouls. He's pretty aggressive, but look at these steals: 4, 2, 1, 3. He's put up some real TJ McConnell-esque numbers from way back when, right? Assists and steals on a per minute basis, pretty doggone high. So $100 above min price here. Yeah, he'll fit pretty nicely. And NAW is a really high upside guy for this price point, $3,700. We know he can be point per minute, and we know he has legitimate 30, 40, 50 fantasy point potential. Is probably the best player on this team that's active tonight, with the maybe the case for Hernan Gomez, but I think NAW should be a lot of our favorite clicks tonight. Looking at let's go Nickel Alexander Walker DKP by game log with 30 minutes. Let's go last, I don't know, 50 games. We saw him drop 61 fantasy points in November. 34 minutes. He dropped 30 plus real points, 10 rebounds. We've seen him be a guy that can really give you a case for point per minute. I think he has true tournament winning potential. The floor on his price point is pretty doggone high as well. So don't really see myself getting into much action tonight without heavy exposure to NAW. And like I said, Alvarado, Garrett Temple, these guys are cheap enough. Spin the wheel, make a deal, put them in there, hope it clicks. Hernan Gomez and Jackson Hayes, though, I think are the true inner reflections of whether or not we want to give up that center spot and maybe leave 40, 50 fantasy points, because obviously there's going to be guys that can potentially lap these clicks by 30 plus fantasy points. Let's get caught up on chat before we move on to the next one. Gonna had a brain injury with that statement. I don't know which statement we're talking about, but I definitely probably have a brain injury. Got to get the value right tonight, says Crispy. Missed on Utah last night. Yeah, that's these slates lately, man. You got to get the value perfect. New Orleans value and get all the big dogs. What up, everyone? Hey, it's Chris. Danger, the safety dog. Herb Jones. Yeah, definitely don't mind him. He might actually lead the team in minutes. He's a regular part of the rotation already, a guy that can get you 30 minutes. He doesn't really do much, right? And I can't really run a usage query because there's going to be no sample size of this G League team. But if you want minutes, man, minutes for guys who like minutes. Herb Jones, he'll give you minutes. 34, 37, 34 minutes his last 3 games. So his cardio is ripe and ready. Like I said, it doesn't value on the far right column. But at 4,500, I think he does have a shot at 40 fantasy points. So would definitely be in the mix. Core value, maybe. Definitely a value nonetheless. How much exposure to NAW? I think the final answer will have to be contingent comparative to the field, and wanting to know if you want leverage on the field, you want to be at the field. If he's at 50% projected ownership, which is not a crazy projection from this far out, considering how high ownerships have been this year, I'd probably want to at least be at that. But it just seems like there's a low failure rate at this price point with the potential minutes coming his way. So a lot in 20 lineups, I'd realistically have a lock button on him. Obviously in 50, not as necessary. I'd probably be around 80% if I thought he was 50% on, and then we get to 100, 150. I don't have to be that aggressive. I can be a little bit more diluted in that number, but he's just he has a pure ceiling outcome here that I think 10x is the expectation. And kind of the same for Alvarado. It's not really negatively correlated at these prices because the minutes are just so strong from this far out, right? Alexander with the guys out, usage is good, but PPM are still bad. I mean, PPM is overrated when you're 3,700, right? If you're going to get 40 minutes at 0.8 PPM, I'll take it. But I feel like it's not that bad. And I also feel like there's not really a sample size that can make us feel strongly one way or the other about it being good or bad, right? For the heck of it, we can try it. Let's go to Nolans. Where are we at? Looking for Philly. There it is. First team here. I don't know. We'll put Ingram off. We'll put Graham off. We'll take J-Val off. Josh Hart off. Like, there can't be a sample size for you to be super confident in that statement, right? NAW on. We'll run it this year, and then we'll also elongate to last year just kind of see what it is. NAW has a 36% usage rate. Yeah, the PPM I guess isn't great, but the usage rate is ridiculous. So we're expecting positive regression, I guess, on that number with 20% assist rate. And then if we maybe push that back to capture last season as well, there'll be a couple of names that mess things up a little bit, but that number gets closer to 0.9. I wouldn't overthink it, man. I think if you're gonna get 30% usage rate at minimum wage, right? I think I just take it, even at that ownership. We got 99 minutes of sample size this year, so yeah, you're right. The PPM isn't what you want it to be, but I also think I think there's room for progression based on the usage, and um, I honestly don't even need point per minute potential if he's gonna get 37, 38. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I love NEW here. Hayes at 3,100 is borderline lock for me too. Probably get into foul trouble. Yeah, I'm almost like certain Hayes will probably foul out against Joel Embiid. He's got a real knack for that. 4 fouls in 17 minutes yesterday. 5 fouls in 16 minutes against the Knicks. There's just really no way I would feel super confident and comfortable. And like I said, if you lock a guy like Hayes, who points per dollar should be fine in any projection model, you're giving up that center spot, right? That Jokic, that Embiid, potentially AD, Cat, Siakam, center eligible, maybe no Van Vliet, already a good play against the Hornets. So I would even say I would almost give 25 fantasy points to Jackson Hayes. That would project incredible value, right? 8x value. I don't need it if I can get guys that are going to double that. And that's probably the approach I take. Even more so when you consider his volatility with his fouls. You consider that Joel Embiid's a guy that will bully hack-happy opposing bigs. He goes to the free throw line sometimes double-digit times a game. So I just think it's a nightmare spot for Jackson Hayes. But just kind of even keep an eye on it if he even starts. And Guillermo Hernan-Gomez, kind of the same. We've seen him get into some foul trouble too in bad spots. But for the most part, his foul per minute is a little bit lower than Jackson Hayes. And his production has been as steady. But he's not quite the value that Jackson Hayes projects as. So I think I'm willing to let the field have Jackson Hayes if that's where some leverage opens up. Adam says people don't take into account the team values playing enough. Can you play Hernan-Gomez and Hayes together on Fanduel? You can, I guess, but do you? I probably don't. I probably don't. Let me open up a Fanduel entry here to kind of put that in context. I think these are good questions though, but like I said, I don't want to get too stuck on one team on a 9-game slate, especially a team that. The Pelicans, as is, already have a less than league average offensive rating. I know the Sixers like to play down to competition and defensively aren't juggernauts, but man, the Pelicans might drop 80 points today, right? 90 points maybe. So Hernan-Gomez with Hernan-Gomez power forward center, he's mid-price. I like that. Jackson Hayes is power forward, he's mid-price. So you want to combine, throw a blanket over him for 7K and hope for a 7K return, 40, 50 fantasy points. I don't think that's crazy. And I guess that would leave you a Jokic and then leave you room for Harden, DeJounte Murray, guys like that. You can go top heavy. I don't think that's crazy. It doesn't feel optimal, but I don't think it's crazy. Jokic Taco just dropped. Nice. What is it? Good call. Points, rebounds. Jokic PRA went from 45.5 to 39.5. That's a good line against the Detroit Pistons. 39.5 is a number that he has cleared pretty consistently, right? It's Jokic. So if you guys want some action on that, if you're not familiar with what Taco Tuesday is, every Tuesday they drop these big discounts on some props that is voted on by their Discord community. If you're not on PrizePicks, what the F are you waiting for? Have I not put out enough content to make you try it out? Go sign up right now, literally right now, while we're hanging out. Sign up, and if you use code Gundacker when you do it, they'll get you 100% deposit match on your first deposit up to $100. So $20 becomes $40, so on and so forth. Now they're gonna have 2 tacos today with discounted numbers, and I believe it's a $20 max bet on any promotion that they do drop. So $40 to get you exposure to the 2 promos if you want to max bet it, and you can handcuff it to some of these other picks that we like. I did 2 videos today highlighting some of those picks, and as we go game by game, I'll be revisiting a couple of those that stand out. And if you guys have prize pick centric questions, throw them in the chat, man. I know it's a DFS stream, but we're all here to make some money here. So shout out to you for the call on the Jokic taco dropping. But get signed up. Use the code. It's like a create a code, man. I benefit when you guys sign up, and it's a good way to keep these streams free and easy. You wouldn't use 2 centers, one at util. I would, Luke. I definitely would, but like. What I mean by that is like one, I think a lot of positions have high upside, like DeJounte, Harden, guys like that. But I also don't hate the idea of like double downing, double centering upside centers, right? Jokic and Embiid lineups, right? Embiid, yeah, Embiid kind of like lives in the shadow of Jokic on all these slates. But Embiid is putting up MVP numbers right now as well. 30 plus real points as far as the eye can see. 60, 70 fantasy points. So if you think like your baseline projection is like Embiid and Jokic for 60 fantasy points, right? I got 57 on Embiid, 61 for Jokic. You put those two together with all the free value that we get, that gives you like 100 and I don't know, 20 to 140 window to kind of start your lineup in it if you went center util. So I just don't know that the headache is worth it for Jackson Hayes when we're really hoping for like a 30. Now maybe he stuns us and drops some Obama game or something like that. But it just seems like I don't want to give up. I don't want to sacrifice center, but I will take all the NAW and Alvarado I can get to at their prices. So that's just my approach. So definitely go with your gut, right? Everyone has to write their name on the bullet and fire it in the air. But yeah, Arizona Drama says Embiid double and 76ers win. I like that. Murray double and Spurs win. I like that. Luka 25 plus Mavs win. Ooh, 25 is pushing it. But I can see it. Jokic double Nuggets win. I like that. Pascal 20 plus Raptors win with Lakers, Blazers, Celtics money line. I'm liking this. Is that your parlay drama? I think all those picks make sense individually. But it also feels like that would be like a crazy return on investment for a parlay. Robert says, what about Garrett Temple? Yeah, Temple's cheap enough. We'll probably take a lot of threes in this spot as well. I don't have him for as many minutes as some of these other guys, but I don't think that really matters at his price. 10 plus shot attempts, likely all threes. Very viable here. So I wouldn't talk you off of some Temple. Yeah. I probably have him as my third out of the guard forward situation. I think NAW 1. I want to say Alvarado 2 and then Garrett Temple 3. But it's, like I said, there's really not a big sample size to give us a high predictive value on what to expect and who should pop. But I think NAW is my clear-cut favorite, right? What up, Craig? Unknown players with all those guys off the floor, PPM will be greater. Yeah, it's murky. Like I said, even being behind NAW, it's not like a sample size where I can say, yep, this is what happens. It's just like we've seen NAW get an opportunity in the past, and we know he has true ceiling potential. Any prize picks? Do you think the Nuggets game going to be a blowout? Maybe, man. I think the Nuggets don't really blow teams out as much as we think they do. Last couple games have been a little bit closer, right? A lot bit closer. There was that Utah game where I think they got smoked. They don't really smoke teams like that, and they're coming off a really long home stretch. So now first game on the road, maybe you're sleeping on the Pistons a little bit. Yeah, I don't really foresee them a blow, and by blowout you mean like 20 plus margin in the fourth quarter. I don't really see that. But certainly a team like the Pistons, it's very possible. They have 9 healthy bodies. It's possible. I'm playing one lineup on DraftKings right now. It has Harden, LeBron in it, no Embiid or Jokic. I'm scared. I'm a little bit more trepidatious on LeBron with AD being back, but I'll never talk anyone off of LeBron. Harden should be just, Harden, big spot for him. What up, Brizzy? Would it be crazy to fade Harden for any other pay up option? Any other? No, I don't. Any other? Yeah, no. No, so I actually don't even have Harden as the highest scorer on the slate right now. I got Jokic edging him out a little bit. But I mean, Harden in this split has just always been offering 60 fantasy points. But like I said, Embiid, Jokic, all these guys have massive, massive upside. Obviously, I don't think I would like fade Harden for like a Curry or somebody like that. But somebody with true fantasy, uh, at worst, you want somebody that can match his ceiling, right? Um, and I think there's several guys that can do that. And considering where the value is today, there's a lot of real value at the guard forward spot. You can perhaps compensate for what you're giving them at guard for the 10x value with the punts here, and then you take some of the raw points. LeBron James, I'll probably be a little less on today just because of them having the big three, and I can get to more DeJounte Murray, who has a real chance to lead the slate in fantasy points today. Don't forget about him. I thought Fred VanVleet could be one of those guys, but him being a midday questionable, I'm gonna pump the brakes on that on a little bit. But no, I don't think in general, I don't think it's crazy to fade Harden, but I also would phrase it more like pivoting. Let's go home.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go home. Let's go home. Let's go home.
Last night won $7. Here is my 35% gun tax. Penis.
We're making bots say penis. I love it. Appreciate that dono because it lets me drink some coffee. But yeah, no, I wouldn't think of it as fading Harden, like just the sentence, right? Negative connotation, right? It doesn't mean I think Harden's a bad play or you think Harden's a bad play. You're just pivoting, right? And that's the game of DFS. That's where the skill comes in, like finding similar fantasy point projections. And if standard deviation rears its ugly head, and you get a -5 on Harden's deviation and a +5 on a Jokic or DeJounte Murray, somebody like that, then the pivot pays off, right? Every extra point will count as you get to the top. So I don't think it's crazy at all. Wizards hosting the Clippers. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Clippers. Reggie Jackson, Amir Coffee, like the drink. Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, Ivica Zubac taking on Spencer Dinwiddie, Bradley Beal, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and Daniel Gafford. 216s are total. 4.5 point spread in favor of the home team Washington Wizards. By the way, Damron, I thought you were going to get your largest D back with that dono. Fish just took it on the last stream. But you were the largest D before that, so I don't know what the rankings are right now. This is one of those games that if I exit out and don't get any of it, I'm not losing sleep here. In the prop stream, my boy Renza mentioned that he might like Nick Batum's point prop. Nick Batum before, I guess he missed one game, 25 minutes his last couple games. Shot volume has been meh. I don't think I'm going to get to Nick Batum exposure today, but I guess 30 to 40 fantasy points isn't an outlandish range of outcome for him lately. But I definitely think I'm probably going to be mostly off of this game. 9-game slate. I'm trying to make it a 4 or 5 game slate. And I don't really see much that I need to attack. The Wizards have a clean sheet in their injury news and notes. Front court stepping on each other. Kyle Kuzma, Gafford, Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, Montrezl Harrell. There's just a lot of potential cannibalism within their rotation. And the Clippers are the Clippers. I think Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, Ivica Zubac. If you got to any of those guys individually, I think it makes sense. But are you getting true ceiling output, and are you getting a solid probability on those guys hitting that ceiling? For me, I don't really think it's something I need to do. So if you guys disagree, let me know. But I think this is one of those skip games for old Gundacker, and I'll focus elsewhere, right? Do you like any props on price picks from Murray? All of them. DeJounte Murray, if you want to get on his PRA, hold out, because I do believe DeJounte Murray is going to be the next taco discount. So if it's like the Jokic one, you'll probably, so they have his PRA 38.5. You might get that at like 35, 34. But everything I like from Murray, they have him at 49.5 fantasy points. Funny, because I put out a video this morning saying if they had his fantasy points under 50, I would take it. And they literally was like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? Oh, okay. 49.5. Bam. There you go. I still like it. I still think he can score, 60 fantasy points today. But maybe, maybe it's not the anchor of all my cards, right? Fish Fan has the extra large D. He does, right? Like, look at Damron getting beat by Fish Fan when it comes to largest D. What are your top three studs for FanDuel cash? Probably going to be Harden, Jokic, and probably DeJounte Murray. And I'll really hype up Murray when we get to that game. But yeah, let's move on to the next game here. Raptors hosting the Charlotte Hornets. Project starting five for the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, and Mason Plumlee taking on Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. 221.5 is our total. 3.5 points spread in favor of the Toronto Raptors. So two big notable questionables here. Gordon Hayward on the Hornets side, right foot is being listed as questionable. He missed that game on Sunday. And then on the Raptors side, this afternoon, we got Fred VanVleet downgraded to questionable. And like I said, I usually try to tread water with midday questionables as closer to out than in. He's dealing with a sore right knee. It says he was a late addition to the injury report. If he misses this game, Delano Banton should slide into the starting lineup. In a singular start, Banton had 7 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists in 24 minutes. So what we do know is that the Hornets have been the gift that keeps on giving. And even though this game is in front of nobody, right? Empty arena match, right? We talk Mick Foley coming in with the forklift. They run such a fast pace, parlayed with such a bad defense that the opposing teams get a lot of extra implied everything. So first and foremost, look at the pace differential between these two teams on the season. The Raptors have a bottom 4 pace in all of basketball, while the Hornets have the second fastest pace. So that's more implied possessions for the Raptors. That's more implied fantasy points. And the Raptors have one of the tightest minute rotations in the league right now. We're getting a lot of 40 minutes potential from everyone. I had 40 minutes on VanVleet, 39 on Anunoby, 36 on Scotty Barnes, 39 on Siakam. So you're getting that type of minute exposure against more implied possessions and a good defensive matchup. So there's not much on the Raptors I wouldn't like. If there was nothing next to Fred VanVleet's name right now, Fred VanVleet would probably be one of my favorite FanDuel plays. This is part of the set of games that it is that lock. So if we get the news that he's in or out, or if he's in, I think we can adjust accordingly, and we don't have to sweat some late swap optimization there. But everyone on the Raptors, because of their minutes, because of the matchup, are absolutely in play here. And I probably start VanVleet, Anunoby, Siakam in the tier 2 section of my player pool and go from there. Gary Trent Jr. has been back for a couple of games. His minutes haven't quite been at where his peers are at, but they're still pretty doggone high, right? 28, 29 in those two. Let's go home. Uh-oh.
Let's go home. Let's go home. Let's go home.
What does it say for your donos when your largest D is financially conservative? What kind of coffee did he brew anyways?
Okay. Those are bars. I don't know. If you know, you know. Some of you guys in VIP probably got that. Hebrew, financially, because, yeah, Fish Fan, if you're out there, I'm sure he's smiling at that. All right, shout out to Damron. I wonder if that might put him over the top here. What up, Patrick Reed? Sorry, was busy yesterday, so missed the show. Felt like something was missing in my day. I appreciate that, right? It's okay to take a day off. Pick your battles. 4 games, yuckiness. Thursday, 2-game yuckiness. So now blow your load tomorrow on a Wednesday? I don't know. That was weird. Gordon Hayward, if he can't play, let's go pull up the Charlotte Hornets here just to kind of maybe get a plan of attack ready, right? If Hayward's off the court for the Hornets here, you might expect elevated usage as if he needs it for Rozier. Let's put Rozier and let's put Melo on the court, right? So Rozier and LaMelo. Rozier has been huge for our PrizePicks picks lately. Just assist rates lately are through the roof. So in a split without Hayward, while Rozier and LaMelo Ball are on the court, 23% usage rate for Rozier, 26% for LaMelo Ball, 27% for Miles Bridges, 32% assist rate for LaMelo. Just out of curiosity, what are we dealing with Hornets lines on PrizePicks here? More in the Rozier lines. 4.5 assists. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't do this to me, man. Terry Rozier, in the Discord, I feel like they were betting 3.5 assists every game, and now it's 4.5, and he's cleared 4. Yeah, he's okay. All right, I might lay some action on that. We'll see. If Hayward was out, I think a couple more minutes there. Obviously, if Hayward is in, what I probably do with the Hornets is I get some exposure to them. I'm probably going to tier 3 them all, and then I start setting some player correlations, meaning I wouldn't want more than 2 of 3 of Ball, Rozier, Hayward. Maybe I throw Miles Bridges in there, no more than 2 of 4. I don't think I get to any Plumlee here, no PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre here and there, but I don't think I'm getting to those fringe 5K guards as much today because we do have NAW, Alvarado, guys like that. If the Raptors do roll out Van Vliet with enough time, Delano Banton would profile pretty well as a value play. If you believe that he's going to get the bulk of those 40 missing minutes, maybe Watanabe, somebody that also gets inserted to the starting lineup. Maybe Gary Trent plays more point guard. Maybe you get Svi Mikhailiuk. And if that happens, I'm effed because Mikhailiuk has been burning me all year and I cannot quit you. So hopefully Van Vliet just plays and we can just play as is. But this game is very, very, very much in play. I'm tier 3ing basically all the Hornets, not playing Plumlee. And then I'll probably tier 2, depending on his availability, Fred Van Vliet, OG Anunoby, and Siakam. And those, for me, I think all stand out as better Fanduel plays just based on the matchup and defensive peripherals being worth what they are. Elvin, what up, Elvin? Is there any way I fit both Murray and Harden in my lineup on DK tonight? Yeah, I think so. Let's try it. What would get you started? Let's go DeJounte at 10K. Let's go Harden at 11.7. That gives us 47.16. It's gonna have to involve Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and it's gonna have to involve probably Alvarado. And then if you were to get some more definitive news on Van Vliet, maybe Benton or one of those extra guards kind of fill a need here. And then Patty Mills is under 5K as well. And we have 53 per, and I think Mills could be second or third in real points today if that game stays competitive. So there's definitely ways to do it. Obviously, it falls off a cliff big time. And Harden, almost 12K, you're putting 20, almost $22,000 in 2 players. That's a lot, but I don't think it's impossible, especially not impossible to the point where you're completely punting every other position. I think the slate is giving us enough value to make studs and scrubs even more valuable today on DraftKings than it typically is. Obviously on FanDuel, it's always the process to go studs and scrubs here. Kings at the Celtics. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley. Bag alert. Marvin Bag alert. Rashawn Holmes taking on Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams. We got a 219 total, 8.5 point spread in favor of the Boston Celtics. Guys, I'm also the customer service guy for RunDFS.com. And Rob, if you're out there, I got your email, but I can't reply right now, so I'll get you fixed up. If you upgraded to VIP and for some reason you can't figure out how to get in, I got you hooked up. Don't worry about it. You can also DM me on Twitter, and I'll walk you through it. Kings, De'Aaron Fox, questionable. His absence would certainly tilt the needle on the viability on Tyrese Halliburton. He's dealing with left ankle soreness. He sat out Saturday's game due to the ankle issue, and while it doesn't sound serious, it's possible he could skip Tuesday's game as well, with it being the first night of a back-to-back. So if he can't go, what we did see in that last start, I think we got Terrence Davis as a guy that benefited and inserted into the starting lineup. Yeah, that's what we got. And Davis played 30 minutes while Halliburton played 38 minutes. So if we run this split here just to be prepared for the Kings, if Fox can't go, I think we'll find Halliburton leads in everything. I'm just assuming. I definitely think he leads in assist percentage. Yeah, 39% assist percentage. That's nuts. The usage rate not as high as you would think it is. A little bit more spread out. But I definitely would lean on Halliburton quite a bit, over a fantasy point per minute, and potentially 38 minutes. And then, like we said, Terrence Davis also thrived. Matchup a little bit tougher, pace a little bit slower. So I definitely don't think I go out of my way to core Tyrese Halliburton as like a tier 1 or something like that. But I think at 7,400, there's still some meat on the bone if Fox missed. If Fox is in, I think everyone's kind of priced appropriately, where I'm hoping I don't miss out on a massive ceiling game to crush these price points. On the Boston Celtics side, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, putting them both tier 3, and I'm going to make sure that two of those guys are not in the same lineup. You can absolutely paint a case for Robert Williams today. I think the 6-7K center spot might get lost in the shuffle today. I think Jakob Poeltl's another guy around that price range that looks pretty strong from this far out. But when you think about the Kings here, they give up the most points in the paint in the league on this in the league. And a guy like Robert Williams could benefit from that, and also could benefit from the fact that he's a big stocks guy, and the Kings are, I think, top 6 in blocks per game allowed. Sacramento top 7, top 8 in blocks per game allowed. So it's definitely some stock potential for Robert Williams coming back from the baby narrative. But I think the bulk of my interest is going to be between Brown and Tatum. And Tatum's been maybe the better of the pair as of late. He's 10.4K, absolutely likely to get a fraction of the ownership of some of the other studs on this slate, but he does have slate breaking potential. Just dropped 79 fantasy points against the Wizards, 28 shot attempts, 51 real points, a lot of 20 plus real point baselines here, and then just kind of filling in the stat sheet with other things. Obviously, in my projections, I'm going to like, Harden's and Jokic a little bit more, but certainly could get a little bit creative with some Tatum exposure. Maybe it's a little bit more lucrative on FanDuel at just 9,100, but certainly a guy that might get lost in the sauce. And if you're multi-entering, you don't have to give up a ton of equity to be overweight on Tatum, I'm assuming. And then also, like I said, Tatum and Brown probably going to be in my player pool with a specific correlation player group rule set in Fantasy Cruncher, where I don't have both of them in the same lineup. That's just the way I roll, right? Nothing else here that I want to get behind too much, right? What up, William Lewis? How you doing, brother? What do I do if I paid for? What do I do? Yo, what up, guy? Never like locking people in Fantasy Cruncher, but would you recommend at least 1-2 from New Orleans? So anytime we talk about locking players into your scripts, for me, one, it's always going to be how many lineups are you running, and then what's your risk tolerance, right? If you think it's an all-in spot, do it, right? If you think the biggest edge, the biggest EV move is to just take all of that can't miss value and be overweight on the field and just thrive, I'm with it. But for me, my risk tolerance is, if I'm running 150, I'll probably almost never lock in a guy. But if I'm running 20 to 50, yeah, you can see me locking in some guys pretty frequently, especially in 20. I don't mind setting a hard core of guys in 20 lineups, and whatever happens. But I think that for me, that answer is based on how many lineups you're running and what your risk tolerance is. But if you believe in that guy being, most probable to be optimal, and you just, you don't want to overthink it, yeah, I'm not against it. But if I was running 150, I don't think there's a reason to do it, What else we got? Hoping LeBron's ownership is lower with AD back. I think it would just help his assist numbers. I think that's possible. We'll run some of those later. Elvin, the Patty Mills honestly opened up a good avenue. Good looking out. Yeah, it definitely did. I think Patty Mills could have 20 plus real points today. What do I do if I paid for your OF but it's still soft? If I paid for your OF but it's still soft. I don't know what that means. Do you like D'Angelo Russell's PRA on PrizePicks? I don't think I bet any of the big three from the T-Wolves today. There's just I like to pick my battles on the bigger slates, and I just think teams like that, where there's so much volatility in between Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, that I probably want to narrow it down to some safer pre-flop spots. So I didn't look at it, but when I get to that game, I'll look at it for you and just kind of see if it's a attackable line. But it wasn't on my board of stuff that I'll be targeting tonight, All right, let's move on to the next game here. Lakers at the Nets. Project 75 for the Lakers. Russell Westbrook, Avery Bradley, LeBron James, Trevor Ariza, Anthony Davis taking on James Harden. Patty Mills, Bruce Brown, Kessler, Hiccup, Edwards, Nick Claxton, maybe. Claxton questionable. He's missed a decent stretch of time. We got 226 total with a 3.5 point spread in favor of the visiting LA Lakers. Let's get caught up on the news side of things for the Nets here. Starting with Nick Claxton. I think he's just officially questionable. We looked at it on the prop stream earlier. OF stands for OnlyFans. God dang it. Yo, Damron, did you message him on Discord? I know Ben's in the VIP. Did you message him? It was like, yo, ask him this. And I'm like, bro, God dang it. Got him. Wow, chat. Wow. You know, this is what it's come down to, huh? Claxton left hamstring questionable. If he can't go, you might expect Day'Ron Sharp to start and LaMarcus Aldridge to really benefit the most and close out. On the Lakers side, Anthony Davis probable coming back. So the big three are the big three. And we have questions, right? So first of all, let me see if they gave us any type of information on what we might expect minute-wise for Anthony Davis, right? Is it going to be eased back in? In LA, quote, probable typically means will play, so it looks like AD will be back in action following a month-long layoff. He'll likely have a minutes limit upon his return, but Dwight Howard and Trevor Ariza figure to shift back to the second unit, and Carmelo Anthony's minutes will dip. So that's from Dave McMenamin from Twitter. Shout out to NBC Sports Edge for providing that. And now we can kind of gear back to the beginning of this year and remind ourselves how these big three coincided. So we're going to put AD on the court. We're going to put Westbrook on the court. We're going to put LeBron on the court. And I'm fully aware that there's going to be plenty of time where not all three are on the court and they just kind of stagger. But just generally the story to tell with AD back, LeBron James has a 22% assist rate, 28% usage rate, while Westbrook had a 21% usage rate, a 32% assist rate, and AD had a 24% usage rate, lower assist rate, but led the trio in fantasy points per minute. I think it's fair to be skittish all the way through and through on a slate like this that give you a ton of 11K studs with 50, 60, 70 fantasy point potential. So I feel like my knee-jerk reaction is to not to prioritize LeBron. I don't know that I wouldn't get any LeBron, but I feel like this early out when I'm looking at all the 11K studs on DraftKings, LeBron James being, $200 below Joel Embiid, who has a pretty similar game log, maybe a higher floor than LeBron James lately, and maybe a better a ceiling. Surely LeBron's matchups lately: Miami, tougher defense with Bam Adebayo back; Orlando, slower paced team. Yeah, the matchups haven't been great, but I think Embiid being a stone's throw away makes LeBron James less of a priority for me. Obviously, Harden, if this game's going to stay competitive, I think Harden does well. I guess I want to ask you guys a question. I know the Lakers have been bad, right? If we look at their season-long net rating, the Lakers have a minus 1.2 net rating, meaning they've been in a lot of close games. Is there a world today that the Nets, without KD, without Kyrie, potentially without Claxton, without all these guys, is there any way that the Lakers make this game lopsided and the Nets get blown out? 3.5 point spread is respect to both teams here. But it's a lot of James Harden, and if James Harden can't bring out the best in his teammates here, you could see the Lakers kind of tilting that seesaw here. So that is something that is in the back of my mind. If you don't see that, then James Harden should be, the play of the slate. And I think on FanDuel, James Harden is just play that, and almost in a potential blowout. You probably see 10.5K net you 50 fantasy points. And we think about PrizePicks. I got 65 fantasy points for FanDuel scoring and PrizePicks scoring on James Harden. And I think his line was at like 54, 55. They have Harden at 56. So I'm still getting like 10-point margin of difference. So Harden, no matter what's gonna look the best to me here, because as he goes, so do the Nets. But I'm just curious to see if you guys think this Lakers team could do some damage here and make the Nets be on a lopsided end here, because they really aren't that great without KD. And then, of course, without Kyrie, they're also pretty poor. So I guess we can put a number on this. Let's go pull up StatMuse. By the way, Flex 3305 JC, man, I appreciate that sub, man. Welcome to the channel. Dominic Davis, welcome to the channel. Appreciate those subs, guys. So we want to do Brooklyn Nets defensive rating without Kevin Durant this season. They have 117.4 defensive rating this year without Kevin Durant. 117.4 would easily be the worst in all of basketball. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Harden's going to have to do a lot to keep this game close. So pre-flop, it makes all the sense in the world. My projections like it. Everyone's going to love Harden. But in the back of my mind, I'm entertaining a potential blowout because of how stacked the Lakers are here. I know they haven't been the best, and how weak the Nets are. But if the Nets keep it close, they're projected to keep it close. I think it's not just James Harden. I think he's got a handcuff to two guys that I think will step up. The first of which being Patty Mills, who I personally believe is a little bit too underpriced for the opportunity today. Guard forward eligible. Got him for 30 plus minutes here. I think I got him for 33 minutes. I think he'd even go past that. And I think he could be second or third in shot attempts on the team. And we know half of his shot attempts will literally be three-pointers. If we flip this split to the net side here. Hey, yo, Tone C, appreciate that follow, man. You guys are going nuts with the follows in the last week, man. I'm definitely humbled. You guys are actually goats and kings and queens, all of you guys. So Harden and Patty Mills on the court together here. Patty Mills, I believe the number was 50% of his shot attempts were three-pointers. Yeah, 50% of his shot attempts in this split are three-pointers. So he's going to be chucking. He's going to be letting it ride. So I do like the thought of using Patty Mills as a leverage piece to keep this game competitive. And if you agree with that, Patty Mills' number on PrizePicks was 14.5. It started at 13.5 this morning. I still think that's a little bit low. They have him at 23.5 fantasy points. He doesn't do it much peripheral wise to really want to deviate from real points, right? Like he'll get you a rebound or assist or something like that. But usually the bulk of his contributions to a basketball game are going to be from points. So I'd probably really key in on the real points here. And then the other guy I was thinking would be a big part of keeping this game competitive is LaMarcus Aldridge. If Claxton can't go, Aldridge has been playing pretty efficiently off the bench. In that last game against Minnesota, he fouled out in 17 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen often. And what we have seen the Nets do with LaMarcus Aldridge in the last 3 or 4 games has been to make him come off the bench behind Sharp, but then when it's crunch time and when it's time to close, they want to call Aldridge's number. Now, obviously, they couldn't have done that last game because Aldridge fouled out in the fourth quarter, but they had called him in, right? That was about his normal time to clock in and close out. If you look at the San Antonio Spurs game, similar thing. Aldridge comes in, part of the closing squad, then it'll blow out, close the scrubs mopped up for the last minute or so. And then you look at that Wizards game, Aldridge closing out. So even if Aldridge's not expected to start, but if we have no Claxton here, I think Aldridge is the part of the top 3 guys on the Nets that make this game competitive. So that's just me. That's how I'm reading it. Give me Harden, give me Mills, give me LMA. And I'm probably I'm trepidatious on the Lakers at best here. But I think Russell Westbrook, as bad as he's been, he's still at a price where his usage, his assist rate, and his ability to be active. And then we talked about how the Nets literally could have the worst defensive rating just in a vacuum tonight without KD. 40 plus fantasy points. He's done that in back-to-back games, right? I think he's kind of right in the ship, kind of correcting what needs to be done. So 8,300, I think, leaves some meat on the bone. So I don't mind getting to some Westbrook here. I probably don't get to AD as long as AD is rumored to be limited. No thanks. Orlando De Jesus. Guys, what is going on with these follows? You guys are insane. What is that? We're at Jesus H, bro. We got like 40 new subs today alone, bro. That's insane. That's insane. So yeah, that's how I'm reading this game. Do you guys have any particular spins here? I think Kessler, Edwards, DeAndre Bembry, Bruce Brown, they can all kind of have a shot to play deep minutes. Edwards is probably going to play those minutes no matter what. But he has, it's kind of like Herbert Jones, right? Where the minutes have been there for Kessler, Edwards, but the production not necessarily has followed, right? 29, 32, 35 minutes. Maybe without Kyrie, there's definitely a path to greater usage and greater success, but not something I need to get crazy with, right? Arizona General says, what's 80 minutes going to look like? Again, no idea, man. They said it's presumed that it would be limited. I put him at 24 minutes, so I think that's fair enough for me to stay away. And even before AD went down, remember, AD wasn't crushing it, right? Like it wasn't like a 9, 10K AD was something you had to have exposure to, 36, 37, 49. So hopefully, we don't get like that 70 bomb or whatever. I think there might have been like I think LeBron might have been out one of those games. So I'm just going to fade it. But I put 24 minutes down, but I don't have a surefire guesstimate on that. That's based on any coach speak or Frank Vogel thoughts. So if that drops as we get closer, hopefully Underdog will be able to drop that, right? Maybe if this games were 10 games later, yes, but AD is just coming back. This team is still not good. The Lakers, it's not that I think the Lakers are exponentially better, which I think they are, but like I said, the Nets having 117, defensive rating without Kevin Durant, that's crazy. That's literally the worst in basketball. So, I mean, if I feel like that metric alone would put the Nets in some potential lopsided games where they're on the bad side of a seesaw. Joker discount up on PrizePicks. They got Jokic's up. No, we already knew that. Okay, yeah. I was waiting on DeJounte's. What up, Tone C? Nets won last time without KD and Kyrie. There's a chance. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to run to roll out the Nets, but I'm just thinking out loud. Is there, could the Lakers be in full strength against the not full strength Nets? Kind of put that game away. I think it's possible. And the Nets have been in the wrong side of some blowouts themselves, right? I think everyone's just stuck on how bad the Lakers have been. It's not like the Nets are juggernauts in the last month or so, right? The Nets have on the season plus 2.8 net rating, but without KD, that's been a lot more sour, and they've lost a couple of close ones and even been on the wrong side of some blowouts. We've seen them bench Harden down the stretch. 7K. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yo, what up, Mr. Baseballer? What's up, Gun? What is your real name? It actually is Gundacker, believe it or not. Westbrook Fire. Yeah, let's get behind some Westbrook. I think I'm building around Joker, Murray, and Pascal. Siakam, I can get behind that, Elvin. All those really solid plays. Siakam definitely becomes even more lucrative if Van Vliet doesn't play. Let's move on to the next game. Houston Rockets hosting San Antonio Spurs for Jack starting 5. For the Spurs, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Dougie McBuckets, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? They'll be up against Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Jayshawn Tate, Christian Wood. 235.5 is our total. 3-point spread in favor of the San Antonio Spurs. So the Spurs were in that big total game against the Nets the other day, right? So kind of another spot here where you're putting the Spurs in a big total game. And if the game's going to live up to a 235 total, implying the Spurs for over 115 real points, who's going to have the biggest share of that? Well, DeJounte Murray is a guy that's going to have a hand in everything. We've ran this query a few times today, but for aesthetics on the stream here, maybe you guys missed it. Let's pull up the San Antonio Spurs via Add More Funds, the NBA Wowie tool. If you guys want to give it a shot, ! AMF in chat. Let's put Derek White and DeJounte Murray and Jakob Poeltl on the court together, right? We like this starting core and just kind of spitball some usage rates. Well, DeJounte Murray leads the trio in usage 25% with a 35% assist rate, a 1.3 fantasy point per minute on both sides essentially, while Jakob Poeltl's 1.2 and Derek White over a fantasy point per minute, also holding over a 20% assist rate. So those are three guys I would be keying in on for DFS tonight because the matchup is what it is. Houston Rockets in everything that we love to target, right? The check boxes, pace, defensive efficiency, stats allowed in particular categories. Houston is like rewriting the book. Houston is running the fastest pace in the league on the season. They're sustaining the worst defensive rating in the league this season, 115.1 points per 100 possessions. And for DeJounte Murray's sake, I pointed out on 2 videos so far today, DeJounte's averaging 2 steals a game and almost half a block per game. The Houston Rockets allow the most steals per game in the league and a top 3 amount of blocks per game, which also bodes pretty well for Jakob Poeltl. So big spot for the trio on the Spurs here. And I would even say like it's not that crazy, at least on a DraftKings pricing standpoint. When you put Poeltl and White together, that's 12.4K. You add another 10K on DeJounte. You're putting the stress on DeJounte to live up to that ceiling. But I think 50 plus fantasy points is the expectation here. And the Rockets is such a ceiling spot that 60 to 70 fantasy points is not an outlandish range of outcome for him, because he's done that several times this year. And just a couple weeks ago against the Houston Rockets, he dropped over 70 fantasy points. He dropped 69 Fanduel points. What was it for DKP by game log versus Rockets last 10? Let's go last 5 games, and then let's type his last name, because I don't know if they know him on a first name basis. 73.5. So it's a real range of outcome for DeJounte Murray to break his foot off in the Rockets today. So I'm going to be pretty bullish all the way through and through on the Spurs on both sides. I think I get to Derek White more on DraftKings than FanDuel, but I wouldn't be out on FanDuel. And I stand with Poeltl more on DraftKings than FanDuel because $6,400. We're getting a $1,300 discount. FanDuel, one center site. I got to get to as much Jokic and beat as I possibly can. So I like the Spurs quite a bit. The Rockets side, I haven't really made a decision on what I want to do with the Rockets. You guys maybe tell me. Christian Wood seems like the guy I'd probably get to if I did get here. It feels weird to not be on a team that has an implied total of over 110 real points here. And I guess we can run a similar query, flip it right from San Antonio's big 3 to Houston's big 3, and we put KPJ on the court, Jalen Green, and Christian Wood together. First name's Anthony. Christian Wood has a 22% usage rate. Jalen Green 23% usage rate. Kevin Porter Jr. 21%. Right? Everyone's just like 20%, 20%, 20%, which makes the ceiling spike game a little bit more volatile because it's not concentrated in one spot. But I think Christian Wood would be the guy that I got to if I needed to in utilizing a power forward spot. So 8,300 on FanDuel, 8K on DraftKings. Yeah, I can get to it, but I'm not getting massive numbers from anyone specifically based on their price points today on a projection. There's some wiggle room for over 6x for KPJ and whatnot. But I think I if I got to no Rockets at a 10+% ownership in my own equity, I don't think I'd lose sleep on it. I'd probably want to get a couple of Rockets spattered in the tier 3 level, but I think it's more so Spurs. I think the Spurs predictive value is a little bit stronger for me. Let me get caught up on chat. We're gonna move on to the next one. Dave Jones, what up, Dave? Says, hey Gun, do you suggest stacking Harden, Mills, and Bruce Brown for the Nets on GPPs on DraftKings? I think Bruce Brown would be pretty expendable. I'm not saying he would be off limits. If he didn't start, I would definitely be spooked about getting to him. I think 3,900, decent enough price tag that if you play 30 plus minutes, sure. Bruce Brown's one of those guys we remember fondly because there were games where he was playing 40 minutes and just had to be involved. But I don't have like a high level of interest on Bruce Brown today. They have DeAndre Bembry. They have Kessler Edwards. We've seen them. We've seen several guys Duke this year. So I don't think Bruce Brown would be somebody I would force into that stack. But I think Harden and Patty Mills is pretty positively correlated. And like I said, if I wanted to get to a third Brooklyn net, it's probably going to be LaMarcus Aldridge. But I don't. I think you're fine with putting Mills and Harden together, but I don't think I would force in Bruce Brown. If you really wanted it like a value forward, obviously like NAW and Alvarado, maybe Garrett. Like there's some guys that might be a little bit safer floor ceiling with minutes, right? Kyle John says, how many Pelicans are too many? I think NAW, Alvarado are going to be NAW for sure. Probably be my highest on Pelican. I think I'm going to be less on the bigs, the Jackson Hayes and Hernan Gomez. I'll be more inclined to play Hernan Gomez than Jackson Hayes. But I'd be more on like I'm personally going to end up more with NAW exposure and a little bit of Alvarado, a little bit of maybe Garrett Temple, guys like that, but not pushing the issue with the front end. So for me, I'm probably going to cap out at 3 in a lineup, but just because it's still a 9-game slate, and I don't know. The Pelicans could score 80, 90 points, and I don't need to sacrifice too much to get it. But it's a great source of value pre-flop. Sorry, I meant first name. Your stuff's legit. Try and watch everyone's stuff, whether it's Noah, DK, Osmo, the Rats. Man, I appreciate that, Mr. Baseballer. You may have seen me on Osmo. I'll be on. I usually catch the Saturday morning show with EMAC, and I believe this Saturday, I'll be over there again. So I do appreciate that, and shout out to all the content creators in the DFS space. I'm hoping to collab with as many of them as possible. Stuber. I don't know if I knew Stuber, but I know Noah, I know who DK is, and obviously I've heard of Osmo. Huh. Would you take Murray assist or full game? I think if you didn't want to sweat the 50+ fantasy points, I think DeJounte Murray's assist prop is still low enough that his 30+% assist percentage on a team that's implied to score 115, 116, 117. I'd probably take the 9.5, but I don't mind sweating the fantasy points at 49.5. I have them for over. But I guess the assist prop, if you just wanted to lessen your sweat a little bit, but I don't mind the fantasy prop, right? What up, Spencer? They already started moving up Scotty Barnes. Maybe that's a sign. No Raj. Yeah, Raj had to go to the office today. Hopefully tomorrow, maybe. Jalen Green's a legit athlete and scorer. He can have a great career. Almost never playing DFS, but I like his career. Yeah, him and Jalen Suggs, right? I don't know. I can see their paths being kind of similar. I think Suggs is better, but might have to find that. I don't want him to turn into another Tim Hardaway. Hopefully he doesn't. Dallas, speaking of Tim Hardaway, Dallas Mavericks at the Golden State Warriors project starting 5 for the Mavericks. Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Kristaps Porzingis, and Maxi Kleber taking on Steph Curry. Maybe Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Otto Porter Jr., but maybe Jonathan Kuminga and Kevon Looney. A 211.5 total, 3.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Golden State Warriors. The Warriors, we'll look at their news first and try and get an update on the expectation for Klay Thompson. I didn't really have any news that swayed me one way or the other on any of the earlier shows. They have him officially questionable with knee soreness. He did not practice Monday. Obviously, considering his injury history, there's no reason to be over aggressive with pushing him back. He's already still on a minutes restriction. So, we'll keep an eye on him. It says we'd be surprised to see him on the floor Tuesday night. So maybe a little bit of a push towards being out. It says that's good news for guys like Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Damian Lee. Check back for another update after shoot around. So if Klay Thompson can't go, it's Steph Curry and the Sunshine Gang going against the Dallas Mavericks that I'm trying to get the respect they deserve. Dallas Mavericks run the second lowest pace in all of basketball while having one of the best defensive ratings in all of basketball. And I think if you just isolate since December, Dallas probably has the best defensive rating in that time frame. And they're on some stretch. Chat, help me out. It's like 7, 8, 10, 12 games in a row of holding opposing teams under 50% shooting. They're good. Defensively, they're good. When they're full strength, they're good. Clayball, Porzingis, DFS, really good defense. So could be a tough scoring night for the Warriors, especially if they allow the Mavericks to maybe isolate and key in on Steph Curry defensively, who's not really having the best shooting stretch of his career. From a DFS standpoint, what stood out to me? Well, first of all, Luka Doncic maybe just gets lost in the sauce on a slate that's giving you Harden, Jokic, some of those upside guys. So we know he has every bit of, slate breaking potential, 70-point upside, 60-point upside. But I found myself really enamored with Kristaps Porzingis this morning. 7,500 on DraftKings, 8,200 on Fanduel. I'm looking for 40 plus fantasy points. I got him right at 40 on Fanduel. We mentioned the impact that Kevin Durant has on the Nets from a defensive rating standpoint. Well, Draymond Green also has an impact. So let's go Warriors defensive rating with Draymond Green this season. And the number we get is 101.9 points per 100 possessions, which would, I believe, be the best in the NBA. So defensive rating, it would be the best in the NBA. And then if we flip that to without Draymond Green, it goes from 101.9 to 108. So they drop dramatically, right? You get like a 6-point swing there. And what we've seen lately is opposing bigs really terrorizing this Warriors front court. And I think Porzingis could continue that stretch. We have seen a lot of opposing bigs like Goga Bitadze, for instance, Isaiah Stewart, a lot of success against this interior defense of the Warriors. So I said it, I think a lot of projection models may not be advanced enough to really put a true adjustment on how the Warriors metrics stand without Draymond here from a interior defensive standpoint, and maybe they don't overcorrect or even compensate enough to project Porzingis well enough here, who's been in a pretty solid stretch. And one of the lines I liked on PrizePicks earlier was Porzingis rebound prop. So Porzingis season average is 8 rebounds a game. And earlier, and still, they have him at 7.5. So my question for you, with that Draymond Green information, do you think Porzingis could live up to his season average of rebounds per game, knowing what we've seen opposing bigs do in the last couple games against the Warriors, knowing that Porzingis has cleared this number in 4 straight, 3 out of his last 4? I think for me the answer is yes. So I'm kind of leaning that way, and then I also kind of like him for fantasy points as well. Porzingis has a real ability to add in a couple blocks. He's averaging almost 3 stocks a game, blocks and steals combined. So that's almost 9 implied fantasy points right there for our Fanduel and PrizePick fantasy point projection. So something to think about there. And then Luka Doncic versus Steph Curry. Are you guys getting to any Steph Curry in your early builds or your early, thoughts and considerations? I feel like he becomes extremely expendable, at least on DraftKings in the grand scheme of things, thinking about his 10.7K down payment on James Harden, Jokic, guys like that. And he hasn't done a whole lot to make, 10.7K unfadable. There was that 60 against, the backups of Indiana with overtime, but outside of that, I feel like generally he's pretty much overpriced, and I don't know if the risk reward on this slate is worth me getting to some Steph Curry today, so I probably don't. And then we're looking at who starts, Otto Porter versus Jonathan Kuminga. I think offensively, Otto Porter's kind of your better bet, but I don't have a strong lean or tell on what the Warriors will roll out. And Steve Kerr's been pretty diluted with his minute rotation, so I'm probably off of the Warriors. You can get me to some Porzingis, maybe a little bit of Doncic, and I know my boy Josh, he was on Dorian Finney-Smith rebounds as well, I believe, on PrizePicks. So if you want to tail that, he has cleared 4.5 in 4 straight games, and then he also would benefit from no Draymond Green here. So yeah, let's get caught up on chat before we move on to the next one. Awesome is how I learned about you, man. That's awesome. What up, Justin Wilson? Just joined after watching your Saturday morning streams with EMAC. Man, I appreciate that. Shout out to EMAC. EMAC the GOAT. Awesome of the GOAT. So I own a bunch of baseball shows, but I'm not allowed to play baseball because I work for a minor league baseball team. Oh no! You know what's funny, Ben? One of my best friends, he's in the Discord as well. His name is Rich. He's been on a streamer too. Hey, yo, Matt, appreciate that sub. He just got hired by the Orlando Magic as like a customer service rep, and in his orientation, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Basically, he can't bet on basketball, right? And it's like he's not really like he doesn't touch the team. He doesn't have inside information. But I guess just because he's getting paid, you know what I mean? So I guess I feel you on that minor league BS here. That sucks, right? You hear any news on Fox? I'm having a hard time fading Davis and Halliburton if he sits. Holmes is looking good too. Man, the front court for the Kings become a little bit harder to love. I mean, the Celtics are still kind of a lanky, group of defenders: Horford, Robert Williams, Jason Tatum. So I don't know that I prioritize Rashawn Holmes in this split, but Tyrese Halliburton definitely could be $1,000 too cheap for the opportunity before him if De'Aaron Fox didn't play, right? Whoops. Let's see. Accidentally minimized. Dude, I swear I keep muting Slack and it keeps making noise. Luka free throw prop on PrizePicks. Oh yeah, my boy Josh. If you watch the PrizePicks prop show, he was on the Luka free throw prop. Luka has cleared 5 free throws really as far as the eye can see. So that's pretty light. And then guys like Kuminga can get a little hack happy. And Wiggins, maybe overexerts on defense. So I don't mind that at all. And I think that's an amazing call for Josh Jennings in the chat. Shout out to Eric in the chat. I like seeing the people that support Eric. Oh, there's Eric. Oh, shout out to Eric. Eric is the GOAT. Eric's been in some big sweats lately too. I've been living vicariously through him on Twitter. All right, chat, let's get through the main event. And then we'll circle back, and I'll try to get you guys out of here hopefully in 12 minutes so you guys can go catch the deeper dive. I believe that should be queued up 15 minutes early. Timberwolves at the Trailblazers. Project starting 5 for the T-Wolves. Patrick Beverley, D'Angelo Russell crossing over with Anthony Edwards. Jared Vanderbilt, Karl-Anthony Towns, the big cat. Ernie Ladd taking on Anthony Simons. CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Yusef Nurkic. 227.5 total. 3-point spread in favor of the visiting T-Wolves. So I'm gonna be honest, man, I'm kind of exhausted, right? The rest of the slate's full of big upside spots and safer floors that I want to get to. I don't know that I get too much from this spot, but I guess I would be remiss if I didn't maybe sprinkle in a couple of Cat shares and maybe some CJ McCollum shares. So one of the things that we were most worried about CJ McCollum when he came back would be his minutes. Collapse lung, that ain't no punk, but he's back up to 38 minutes, 36 minutes. So if he's going to play, nearly 40 minutes with the usage rate that we know he has without Damian Lillard, he's definitely worth some shares. Let's go get the official numbers on him here. And then we know that Larry Nance is still out. Cody Zeller's still out. So we probably still get a decent minute projection on Yusef Nurkic. And then based on the availability or lack thereof on Nas Little, Dennis Smith Jr., we would elongate our minutes and expectations on McCollum. Norman Powell's back and Anthony Simons in the mix. But CJ McCollum, man, I think maybe he's under, a little too cheap for the opportunity here. So under 8K, I might sprinkle him for some late night hammer purposes. But let's get the official number on McCollum before we get out of here. So McCollum on, obviously we're going to take Lillard off. And then I guess really just the easiest way to do this, let's just bring it to this month, right? So January. And that way I don't have to go too many bits of yarn, right? 135 minutes CJ McCollum in this month, 27% usage rate, over a fantasy point per minute with a 21% assist rate. So yeah, I'll sprinkle him in there in the back end of the player pool. And then Nurkic at 8,500. Does that get lost in the sauce when we got 10, 11K Jokic and Embiid giving us 60 fantasy points here and there? Siakam potentially without Van Vliet against the Charlotte Hornets, massive play here. Christian Wood, we discussed him. Is Nurkic somebody worth having? How often does $8,500 Nurkic get to 50 plus fantasy points in this spot to be optimal? I think it's above 0, obviously. Is it high enough to put a stake in, and how often is it undeniable ROI. Well, in this split with McCollum and Lillard this month, let's put Nurkic on with McCollum, just kind of add to it. I love the fact that Zeller and Nance are still out. Nurkic is averaging almost $1.50 fantasy points per minute on the court with McCollum at a 28% usage rate. So I think he gets to that number pretty often. And if his ownership projection stays low, yeah, I'll be a buyer in him. And I ain't scared of Cat. If we look at fantasy points allowed to opposing positions on the season, Minnesota has been bottom 10 in that category, and definitely are definitely posed to get Nurkic into a big spot here. So I got Nurkic at almost 50 FanDuel points, 45 DKP. Obviously, that's on the nose of what I would really need at 8,500 on both sites, but knowing that there's probably a little bit of girth left in that projection based on standard deviation and potential upside on a total that's pushing 230, yeah, I'll take some Nurkic here. And then what are you guys thinking on the T-Wolves? I've had a couple questions about D-Russ. I tend to not get too exposed to the Timberwolves just based on the big three potentially cannibalizing each other, and I think that might be my lazy approach today. But do you guys think that's a mistake process-wise, or do you guys really like someone specifically? I guess it should be noted that Patrick Beverley is officially questionable, so maybe his absence would open up more peripherals and maybe more ball handling and more assist potential for maybe like a D-Russ or somebody like that. But when the big three are on the court together, this we'll move that back to the beginning of the season, not just January. But when they're on the court together this season, the usage rate spikes the highest for Cat at 28%, D-Russ is at 25, Edwards is at 25, and then point per minute, they're all over 1 point per minute. Cat leads them at 1.3. Nothing like that's crazy staggering. All of them individually have meat on the bone at their price points. Anthony Edwards is really doggone cheap on FanDuel, 6,700. He pushes 40. I think that's a real big value there. But I don't have a strong lean, and I'm not getting a incredible projection that would make me prioritize 9.5K Cat, 7.6K Edwards. So I'm probably gonna be down. And while we're here, let me double check on the status of Patrick Beverley, and then we will get on out. So we're going to use the NBC Sports Edge depth chart. I love having this one tabbed, by the way. Yo, Rasan Venable, man. I appreciate that sub. Guys, you guys are like, am I being punked? What is up with these subs today? This is nuts. Remember, we hit 6,000 subs yesterday, literally yesterday, and we're at 6,053. That's, we might be having like the biggest sub day ever on the channel. That's insane. Right ankle for Patrick Beverley. So we'll see. If he can go, he can go. If he can't, that's probably not news that we're gonna have to start the slate anyway. So it might be part of your late swap strategies as the night progresses. A lot of action in the top half of the slate. Only 2 games at 10, 1 game at 8. Everything else between 7 and 7:30. So table setters are going to be there early on, and then you have plenty of time to tinker into your swaps. All right, let's get questions out the way. I do want to remind you guys, immediately following the stream, I'm going to be in the RunDFS.com VIP voice chat. You want to be part of that? Go to RunDFS.com, click VIP memberships, find a package right for you. Week Pass if you've never tried it before. Some of you guys are new Vipers in the chat. You can attest to how you feel about the product, but it does give you access to my spreadsheet for NBA, for NFL, for baseball, and then, of course, most importantly, in my opinion, access to the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, NBA, or the premium Discord words. My boy Rich messaged me. I wonder if he just like cussed me out. Dog, don't tell people that. Right here, where you see Logan. Watch this. You're Logan. What are you doing in voice already? You're Logan. Yeah, you can. Yeah. All right. See, we're gonna hang up on Logan now. That's it for Logan. But he's already waiting, and in about 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I'll be in there with probably 20 other cats talking the slate over and digesting stuff, making my player pool, and I will have my player pool for Fanduel and DraftKings listed out in the Fanduel and DraftKings worksheet, my tier 1s, 2s, 3s, core values, all that good stuff. So come be part of that. And then, of course, every VIP membership comes with a voucher towards Fantasy Cruncher, and there's only 3 all-star packages left. $329 gets you locked in till July 20th. So what do we got, chat, before we get out of here? Holy cow, you guys got a lot. So I'm the Diet Coca Goatee. No, Eric's the Goat. Impressed. I know Ernie Ladd. Hold on, Team Underground. I gotta take you to school, young blood. Joseph C. How does Wiggins have more All-Star votes than Cat? Don't get me started on that. How do you feel about Embiid dropping 32 points for PrizePicks tonight? So I think obviously it's very possible that you wrestle with the thought of a blowout because the Pelicans are putting in a G League team. But you also wonder if Embiid's putting up such a impressive stretch of games that these are real candidate examples for like an MVP race. So you also just wonder if they just let him go out there and get his 30. 32 is probably just like too much for me to get. Think about I'd probably put a little accent on that if it was like decently vigged in like a 1-to-1, right? Like just singular prop. But with PrizePicks, I think you got to be a little bit more responsible about lessening the risk there. So I don't think I would lay action on that on PrizePicks just because you need more to go right. So I like to make the lowest risk selections possible for PrizePicks, and I don't think I'm going to sweat 30 real points tonight from Joel Embiid, but it's definitely very viable if you have a higher risk tolerance than I do. Who are your favorite two PrizePicks on? Who are your favorite two picks on PrizePicks so far? I think I really like that Luka Doncic over 5.5 rebounds, and I like Patty Mills over 5.5 free throw attempts. Why did I say rebounds? Luka free throw attempts, 5 free throws made, and then Patty Mills, man. I think Patty Mills has to have a lot of real points today. 14.5. I'm still attacking that over. I think he could take 20 plus shots today. So those are probably my two favorite. Of course, we'll pair them up with the Taco Tuesday specials and all that. By the way, chat, if you haven't signed up for PrizePicks, do so using code Gundacker. They'll match your first deposit up to $100 and support the stream, support the channel. Had CJ in my original build. I didn't see him missing this number, but Powell back might slightly hurt his ceiling. Yeah, I mean, it obviously can't help, but I don't think it hurts that much. But yes, you're right. We did run that number for CJ based on January, and a lot of those games didn't involve Norman Powell, so it could. But I don't think I would overreact to Powell impacting CJ, right? I think CJ and Nurkic would be the clear 1 and 2s for usage, right? Love the T-Wolves Blazer stack late night hammer. That a boy Scott. And said his knee is bothering him. That's not what you want. You think Embiid he's 30? Yeah, we did that. Congrats. I appreciate that. Mark, people have to say stuff like that. Certainly do not. Oh man, I don't know what I missed. What up, Tim? Top 3 PrizePicks. Man, I think we just went through that. Tim. Yeah, we just went through that. I would also throw in some DeJounte Murray props, right? I like everything DeJounte Murray related today. Obviously, they're going to have a Taco Tuesday special on DeJounte Murray after the Jokic one via the Discord. But I think anything on DeJounte Murray, I think 9.5 an assist. If you look at his usage rate being well above 30%, they're going to score 116 points, something like that. I think 9.5 assists is beatable, but also like his fantasy score of 49.5. I got him for over 50. So it's probably better to sweat the assist than the fantasy points, but I like DeJounte as well. Eric got the chat on fire. Let's go, baby. What's up, Ben Snapping? All right, boys, I'm going to get you guys over to to wherever you got to go. I got to get in the Discord. If you guys want to check out the deeper dive, I believe that's going to crank up probably now. I'm going to be back live tomorrow. Look out for Luke. I think Luke will have some content on the channel in the morning for your first look at PrizePicks. We're going to have a PrizePicks stream at 2 p.m. Eastern. Then we're going to have the DFS stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, hopefully you guys can join me, man. I appreciate you guys making part of my day. Be part of your day. I love you guys. Win all the money tonight. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.